close to 1 crore cell phone users and a network that now covers 1,100 cities and towns. But little did Reliance Infocom know that along with the millions of customers who took its mobile service, there were also faceless fraudsters, waiting and watching to hit and run. The damage estimated at over 100 crore rupees. We track down some of these fraudsters and also recount how Reliance is fighting back. Welcome to Uncover. The trio's dream run ended late one August evening when the police swooped down on a tiny shop that sold Reliance mobile phones.
On Monday, I'll show everybody. The truth is that I'll show you, I'll let you know everything. I'll show all these black people.
Ganesh Raghu is still in jail. A third accomplice is absconding. Deepak has now been let off on bail. He claims he's innocent.
Whatever is there, you'll come to know on Monday with the proof of documents. All these liars will come on the Monday. You please come on the court. Please come on the court on Monday and see all the big liars people coming there and see what they are saying. All the liars will come. From this guy,
But not before they had allegedly dumped and duped customers with fake connections and swindled Reliance Infocom, all in less than a month. Navbharat's plan was simple: fake a company's documents and buy corporate connections. Then, resell these connections to customers with an offer that never was. Pay 10,000 rupees now and get free talk time for 3 years. Within a few weeks, Navbharat Communications had sold 190 such connections. Reliance built the corporate houses, but never saw any payments. What they did see instead was a large number of calls being made from these numbers. Only much later did Reliance realize that it had been duped. Navbharat Communications lay locked, the three partners were untraceable. And so began Reliance Infocom's Operation Recovery.
The recovery process requires that once we have adequate proof, then we file an FIR, and with the help of police then we recover the handset, and we also recover the outstanding, either all of it or a good portion of it, and this has been sort of going on today.
Deepak and Navbharat Communications are just one among the hundreds who are now being tracked down by Reliance. In Mumbai alone, Reliance is believed to have filed close to 2,000 cases of fraud. Reliance officials, however, say that the figure is lower, running into hundreds.
We have today, I would say, roughly about 40,000 cases, legal cases we have filed. In terms of fraud, the number is not that very large, but it's there. It's in hundreds and not in thousands, across the country, which I believe for over 7 million subscriber base, and this is what I call a reasonable number.
Reliance says it has written off 400 crore rupees suffered owing to defaults and frauds. But another entity that has suffered enormous damage is the government-owned National Insurance.
Last year, the claims were reported about 152 crores. Some of them have been paid and some are under processing of claims. This year there is hardly any premium. I don't exactly remember, but I don't think so. But last year it was 64 crores.
This is because their 3-year-old insurance contract with Reliance didn't just insure lost handsets, it also insured bill defaults by subscribers up to 24,000 rupees.
Actually, that was mainly in the telephone default insurance cover, which some of their subscribers were defaulter. But so many schemes are there now. They have converted into prepaid. They have started recovering also. And our people have also started investigating those cases wherever the people have defaulted.
When we come back, the perfect job, a great salary and bills for a company phone you never received. Dilip Jha, a retired government official, thought he found the perfect job. So did 65 others who appeared for the same interview. Silicon Housing, a Hyderabad-based company, wanted them to find homes for NRIs. B.S. Reddy, who claimed to head Silicon Housing, assured Jha he would get a 10% cut over and above his salary. Everyone was selected. In return, Reddy wanted signed copies of their ration cards and electricity bills. Formalities, he said. But the truth is, Silicon Housing didn't exist. Neither did the positions. All Reddy did was submit ration cards and the electricity bills at various Reliance web worlds all over the country. And then he disappeared. Mumbai, Chennai and Hyderabad, they were all on Reddy's hit list. More fake interviews, more fake connections, and Reddy ran a fake telephone booth offering ISD calls at rock bottom rates. He did this with a collection of phones he had just acquired. Of course, the bills went to the addresses of the so-called employees of Silicon Housing. He ran up a bill of 25 lakh rupees. It was only after the police accosted Dilip Jha for defaulted bills that Reddy's con game was discovered. Jha blames his fate but also blames Reliance for not being careful enough.
उनका तो पर्पस ही ऐसा था कि कुछ फ्रॉड करने का, ऐसा लगता है. लेकिन रिलायंस का भी इसमें प्रॉब्लम है कि जब भी उन्होंने हमारा एड्रेस वेरीफाई कर दिया तो फिर उनको दूसरा जगह कनेक्शन नहीं देने का था. उन्होंने कहां कनेक्शन दिया ये उनको भी नहीं मालूम था. वो हमसे पूछ रहे थे और हमें कैसे पता चलेगा, क्योंकि मिस्टर रेड्डी ने तो हमें बताया ही नहीं कि कनेक्शन वो कहां ले रहे हैं.
Of course, Reddy is yet to be traced. Efforts are on to arrest the man.
This kind of people have a habit of moving from one area to the other area. So if the guy is in Delhi, he'll probably tend and do similar thing in Western UP, may go and do something in Haryana, may go and something in North Rajasthan kind of stuff. If the guy is in Andhra, he'll move around, and do that. We have seen that our phones which were, let's say, sold in Hyderabad will be found somewhere in Western Karnataka, coastal Karnataka. So all kind of things from the tower you can, you can find out where the phone is being used from, and then from there you can, inform our local setup.
Joining me in the studio now is the well-known criminal lawyer Satish Manashinde, and on my left is Uday Vavikar, a prominent consumer lawyer. Mr. Manashinde, you just saw the stories, the hit and run which these guys have resorted to, these fraudsters. Is there any way in which a company can actually recover dues from these guys?
The customer who buys these cards should realize that if he's getting something for about 3,000 bucks or 5,000 bucks to make calls for about a month on unlimited basis, obviously it is not being sold by the company, because the company has advertised these rates of each calls, and ISD and STD calls are billed on terms of what is the charge already declared in the public. So I think the customers would be liable because they are contracted with the company to pay and not with that fraudulent guy who sold them those cards. And even if it is a stolen card, they are liable to pay the money to the company. They are not innocent purchasers of those cards, and obviously they have received stolen property. And every person who receives stolen property is entitled to account for the monies that he has made out of this fraud, whether he is a beneficiary of it by fraudulent methods utilized by other persons, is not a concern, but he is liable to pay the amount.
What's your view?
I beg to differ from Satish as far as Consumer Protection Act is concerned. As far as consumer is concerned, he is a beneficiary. There is something called vicarious liability, which will fall on Reliance and not on consumer. Because as a consumer, I am a layman, I go to an agent who is unauthorized, he gives me a handset, I have no way to know that it was a stolen handset.
But this agent isn't authorized in this case, isn't it?
Now the question is, was he authorized or was he not authorized?
They obviously weren't.
But the consumers would not know whether they would be authorized or not, because the point that the consumer says is my addresses have been verified by Reliance. Did they check up the backgrounds? Either of the agency or of the consumers? No. They gave them the service, they extended the service to them, and after extension of service they were the beneficiaries of service as an essential service and they rejected. If they are defrauded by fly-by-night operators, it is the company who is responsible. Company should have checked in on this. How did they give service without any background of a customer?
Is the company responsible?
Well, company is to some extent responsible in civil courts, but I don't think that they would be responsible in criminal courts, obviously, because there is no vicarious liability in criminal law. The law on receiving stolen property is very clear, that even if he were to make out a case in a court of law that he was an innocent purchaser, the company wouldn't be responsible in such a case. It will be entitled to its property.
Right. So you're saying if I am a consumer who's used a fraudulent card, I'm also liable?
Obviously, because he's using something which is not he's entitled to.
What about these guys who've been arrested? What about them?
They would
off on bail.
They would probably get off on bail after some time, and as you've seen it in all other courts, it will take about 5 to 10 years for the trial, and by the time they recover the monies or whatever, it will take another 20 years. I don't think that's enough way to meet the situation unless we have a larger number of judges in these courts to deal with these economic frauds on a faster basis.
But first, let us hear where Reliance thinks things went wrong.
At that time, we were also taking, loans. I mean, people are supplying against installment payments, so we were taking post-dated checks. So this was a situation where we would either give to a person who would give upfront the payment and then give him the phone, or he will give me a CAF and then we'll give him a phone against that and then deposit his checks as the time comes. So this was the way in which we were starting to operate. Normally, we used to do address verification post-delivery. In most cases, people do pre-delivery in the sense that you do the address verification, go and send somebody and make sure he's there, and then you deliver the product. But the market forces were such that we decided to do that.
It's the same story with telecom scamsters like Reddy across India. Sell fake CDMA connections, then shut shop and run with as much as you can, be it Gurgaon or Mumbai. And this was made easy with Reliance and all the other big players gunning for big numbers. Get as many subscribers as they can. And in their bid to finish first, they all lost out to scamsters like Silicon Housing and Navbharat Communications. Only because, in their zeal for numbers, subscriptions were handed out without a stringent background check. To top it all, in the case of Reliance, the handsets were given with the connection, and that too payable in installments. Probably prompting fraudsters to strike even harder.
Serious problem, as I said, because on account of the agencies trying to expand themselves faster, at times not even following the rule, not doing the proper required documentation, without establishing of identities, telephone connections being given, and they land up in a situation for themselves that they have created.
And you heard the police commissioner, for instance, saying due diligence was not done. Is that the only way out? Because you just mentioned that.
That's one of the reasons why a lot of frauds are taking place in our country. I think to some extent these commercial establishments are liable in a civil court of law, and they should take enough care not only to see that they give a loan to a person, but to see that the person to whom they are giving the loan or selling these cards are genuine persons and they have a capacity to repay the amount back to the company.
When we come back, it's a war with a faceless fraudster. a battle with faceless fraudsters. Clearly, not an easy fight for Reliance.
One fellow I remember, he said that he called up, obviously from some other number, and it's some guy in Delhi. He says, I have 50 of your phones and I challenge you if you can catch me.
Operation Recovery. That was Reliance's reply to recover its stolen handsets and dues from fraudsters and repair some of the damage both to its revenues and image as a soft target. Launched internally in mid-September, the company has virtually put together an army of lawyers and recovery officers to get back some of the amount. More than 300 lawyers are fighting various cases of fraud across the country. Reliance is taking this operation seriously.
We have ability to track every single handset that's there. So we will go after every last handset that is there. For those who have played tricks with us, have not paid, and used our services and not paid. So we're going to go after that. It doesn't take very long. I think we've done, most of the cleaning has already been done.
Mr. Vavikar, tell us, in the services business, how can companies ensure that apart from their bottom lines, consumer rights can also be protected?
They must have agency agreements, they must have authorized dealership, they must make it compulsory for franchisees to put their certificate on their franchisees saying that they are the other, and give them a number, agency number. The moment they have an agency number, people will not be duped, they will know they are the authorized agents.
What is the recourse for a consumer?
If they approach the consumer organizations which are accredited, there are so many, Grahak Panchayat is one, Consumer Guidance Society is another. These organizations can come to the consumer courts, or they can directly come to a consumer court through consumer lawyers, and they can go for reliefs. 1A, to stop the liability, B, to continue the services that they are enjoying. Because today mobile is
But in this case, how can you expect Reliance to continue giving that facility? It was a fraudulent facility.
No, I would say, you must have seen the interview just now which was given by Reliance Chief Nanavati, who says I can track down every instrument. They have a control on instruments, they have a control on billing. The question comes, when the billing haywire, why didn't they check up?
But this consumer didn't pay the bill at all, isn't it? He just kept getting the bill.
That is one way. But why didn't they check up? The consumer paid as far as consumer is concerned to an agent or whoso, came out from the company holding out as an agent, saying that I am an agent of the company, I am giving you a package of 10,000 rupees and 3 years free call. In good faith, he has paid 10,000, he's got a receipt of 10,000. And how can Reliance give so many sets to such unauthorized people? I mean, whether they were authorized agent or not authorized is a very vital issue there.
Reliance is banking on the law to recover its dues, but it is also enhancing its own ability to track down the offenders.
Wherever any recovery is there, and even if we have paid there any claims, they have started repaying those amounts to us. And plus they have another scheme also, I think for charging 2,000 rupees or so, they convert into a regular account even for those defaulters.
This is the learning curve every single new service provider has to go through. It's just something that you have to, it's one time, you have to just do it.
Mr. Manashande, how can you make, say, the police force or the economic offences authorities more effective?
Well, any number of laws that you make, and if the executive like the police machinery or any other law enforcing agency has no willpower, any amount of laws is not going to be enough.
You can do all of this, Satish. Frauds will never end, isn't it?
Well, somebody like me is always going to be in business.
But
whether Reliance continues or no, or whether BPL continues or no.
Right. Thank you very much, Satish, and thank you very much, Mr. Vavikar, as well, for joining us today. Aggression in the marketplace comes with its own set of problems, solutions to which are hard to find, but not impossible. We will continue to track down such criminals who cause consumers and companies enormous loss, because we believe the truth must be told.